In the world of today's toys, there is quite a few options out there, and unfortunately not a lot of the sculpts look all that great, especially when pertaining to Batman figures, which is why it's so cool to be able to show you this. This is the 112 Mezco Batman 89 figure of Michael Keaton. I actually have two of these figures thanks to my pop. Back when he customized the Batmobiles and along with the Batwing that I have up on display, he ended up getting two of these figures, one for each of those projects because I had one of them and he needed another for scale. So now I've got two different figures here. These Mezco figures retail for about $110, I believe, or around $100. I think part of the reason these figures have such a high price tag is because they have a metal armature, aka a metal skeleton inside, which helps with the posability. They're almost like the way stop motion puppets are made and stop motion miniatures, where you can kind of get very accurate when it comes to posing them. This one in particular comes with a shitload of accessories, some really cool stuff. Some stuff, you know, I'm not a big accessory guy myself. I don't collect a lot of action figures. This one just happens to be one that I have because of the Batwing and the Batmobile. Those Mondo figures from the Ghostbusters I'm slowly picking up. As far as action figures though, I don't have a whole lot. This is probably one of the very few ones that I do have, and I love Batman. I love the Michael Keaton version, as everyone knows that watches my channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a short unboxing. So this is a little bit of a disclaimer, but this isn't going to be a completely brand new unboxing. I've had these figures for months now. I set it up as if I was opening it for the first time. It might not be perfect, so if it looks a little different from your own that you bought, then that's the reason. But I'll go ahead and show you all the accessories and things that came with it. I think my pop even made a special cape for one of them, or my stepmom did. So I'll go ahead and show you that too. And let's go ahead and check it out. And here we go. This is the 112th Collection Pose Play Display Batman 112th figure from Mezco. Here's a good look at the front of the box. There's the side. You've got the top. Back has this nice little picture on here of Batman at the very end of the first movie, looking up at the bat signal. There's some little pictures down here on the bottom too, little screen captures from the film. Go ahead and pop it open. And this is what you have inside. You've got a clamshell, holds together the top pieces and separates them from a lot of the accessories that are on the bottom. This piece just pops off of here. And I believe inside, when the figure comes originally, the cape's kind of in the back there. I just left it on here just for the video. All right, so as far as what's inside the box, you've got the figure himself. He comes with two different capes. I'll show you those a little bit in better detail. You have, starting on the right side, you have a grapnel gun that's about the size of a fingernail, maybe a little bit bigger. And they sure managed to cram a lot of detail into something that's so small, which is kind of nice. So you've got that gun there. You have the next piece, which is this little grapnel gun with the hook. Really tiny stuff. This next piece here, I'm sure everybody remembers the scene in the alley when he like reaches down his belt, the grapnel gun, and the little attachment kind of folds over. That's to connect onto here. And it's really cool. There's actually a magnet inside his belt that like keeps that on there. So I'm not holding that. So if you can kind of see how that stays on. So there you have it. A little magnetic grapple gun thing that goes on the belt. Oh shit. You have an extra piece here that has the little spear on the end. I guess just in case you want to put that on the gun without the little cord wrapped around it. There's that option. And then you've got an assortment of hands. So for hand options, you've got this one here is like a fist. You've got a few open hands. You've got one that holds the gun, which is going to be this hand here. This is all pretty small, so hopefully you can see that okay. And you've got, you know, one thing that something that's kind of cool that I thought that's really nice about these and super detailed is that these little gloves have the little metal pieces that are there in the movie. They're like little dots, almost like little metal rivets. Let's see, we got a couple different heads in here. So for heads, you've got the battle damaged head. This one is like after the Batwing crashes. It's got a big cut down the side of his face. You've got this head here, which is the version where his eyes turn, and there's a little dial in the back. and you can kind of wiggle them. And it's kind of neat, but in all the videos I've seen, and even this one right here, when you twist this little dial on the back, the eyes don't ever really seem to work together perfectly. So one kind of looks like it's looking to the left in this case, and then the other one looks like it's going straight. You turn it that way, they look a little bit better there where they're both looking to the right, but not perfect by any means, but still a really cool idea. It's nice that they tried to do something unique there. You've got his normal face. This is just the face that I think you'd see on most of the promotional material. Just kind of the closed-lipped version on the posters. The head that's on there currently on this figure is a very similar. It looks almost the same, except it's got the lips open, so his mouth's open a little bit. And this is one of the two capes that it comes with. And the cape has wire in it, right? So like on the edge here, there's a piece of wire running through right here. And then if you fold it open, you've got the next section here, which has no wire. And then there's another piece on after that. So basically every other section, like this section doesn't have it, but this one does. And you can really pose the cape. It kind of adds a little bit of dimension to it. Like you can kind of really sort of make it your own and pose it however you want it to stand. I would say, back to the accessories though, you've got a little ninja star type accessory. You've got some type of, let's see, what's this part? This piece I'm not familiar with either, and I've seen the movie a lot of times, but I don't remember exactly what that is. I don't think it's the remote he uses to stop the car, but I'm not positive what that is either. Down here we've got a little dart, and then we've got an assortment of batarangs. As far as these being held in the packaging, they kind of just flop around in there. There's not a lot holding them in place. These are cool though. They did a lot with how small they are, you know, because like I said, these are about the size of my nail. There's a good amount of detail in there. You even have the little silver accents on the sides. And there is 4 batarangs in here. So the heads are held on magnetically. So they basically have a magnet in the bottom right here, this little piece, and there's a magnet on the top of the neck. You know, the capes come off fairly easily. And as far as the body goes itself, I've heard a few complaints from people saying that that this foam was a little bit lighter colored than the rest of the accessories, and you can probably see that sort of too, just in this footage, but I think because this is a whole different material, you know, the boots stay nice and black, and these gauntlets, but then the foam, this is some kind of, I want to say it's some kind of foam latex. Feels sort of like rubbery. That being said, it has a lot of really good detail, and it looks just like the original costume. All the muscles here in the stomach, the way that they did all the pieces, the belt looks awesome. And you know, anyone that knows the original suit knows that there was like kind of like a bodysuit underneath all these rubber pieces that they would glue on. I believe they were glued on. I don't think they Velcroed them. And then he has, you know, even the correct shoes. These were the Nike shoes that he used to wear. And there's some good flexion there in the bottom of the feet. And this has, like I said, a metal frame inside of it, so you can really move the arms around quite a bit. You can move the legs. Everything bends really well. At the knee there, you've got some good flexibility. The foot, you know, you could really sort of do any pose you want with it. I think that a lot of people are concerned and have had problems with this foam sort of starting to rip over time, just in certain areas. I don't really see any tears on this one or any areas where it's starting to come apart. So I can't say I've experienced that. I do understand people complaining about, you know, not being all the same shade of black. I do kind of get that, but it doesn't bother me. You can't really notice it, especially because this room's so dark. The belt, you know, it's got like a little spot here that it rests on, so you can move that down. And, you know, if you wanted, you can have that other piece on there, that magnetic part that holds the belt on. It just kind of hooks right on there. So if you wanted to have him like when he's in the alley, when he's trying to escape from the Joker's goons with Vicky Vale, you can leave that on there. And then, yeah, the head just snaps on just like that. Stays on really well, doesn't want to come off of there. I think they did a really, really good job of capturing all the details. You know, for the scale that this figure is, it just looks amazing. The sculpt on his face especially. I know my dad's a stickler with that kind of stuff, as he's a sculptor himself. And I think they really captured all these little tiny details about the suit and the, you know, the hands and the face that isn't really there on a lot of other figures. So I think they did a great job for that. You know, the cape, trying to emulate the original cape at this scale is not going to be the easiest thing just because of how thick that material was. But they did try and do it. They have a nice texture on here, which I think looks good. And I think it's nice that they put the, you know, the wire in there to help with posing it. And the other cape and the other accessories are in a tray underneath this. So now you've got a secondary box. You've got a couple things in there. The range of motion for the armature kind of tells which way his arms and legs can move and stuff. You've got the other cape. I don't know if this is the bag it came in. I'm assuming the capes both came in here, but this is the same exact cape, same material. It just doesn't have the wire inside of it. So if you wanted something that wasn't as fancy quite with the wires and whatnot, you wouldn't really have to worry too much about it. And this has another layer, so you pull that off of there. And then you've got the third layer, which has the stand, and it has a little piece of plastic on top of it. And I kind of like this stand. I think it's pretty cool. It's simple, it's iconic. You know, this is the Batman symbol from the original movies. Well, the 1989 movies anyways. And, you know, Batman's feet here have a little hole in the bottom so you can stand him up on there. I'll go ahead and get him stood up later so you can check that out. You've got another batarang. This one has the wire. So there's another batarang to kind of give you an idea. That one has the little wire so you can have him holding it or what have you. That I'll just leave him there. And this is the device, the gauntlet that he uses to escape from the museum. I'm sure people remember that scene. And it's kind of cool because you never really get a good look at this in the film, but that's what it looks like. It's got like a gauntlet that would hook on his arm, and then these pieces actually move as well. You know, in the movie, they split apart and shoot like this, and then they go, and then the cables shoot out this way, hooked to the walls, and then he raises up, flies across the room with it. And really cool design. Kind of nice to be able to see that weapon just because you never get to see it in the movie, really. You see it for like 2 seconds and only the front here, I believe. So that's a really cool thing that they included in there. And then for the stand, you've got this other piece, which is the clear part that's going to hold him in place, you know, depending on what he's doing. And it feels pretty sturdy to me. So in the case you don't want to just have him standing on the base, you would just, this pops out of here, and then you're just going to, you push that down inside there, and then you can hook this to his waist, and it's adjustable so you can kind of pose him however you want. And all in all, I think this is a pretty damn cool figure. You know, they're perfect for I would say for the McFarlane car. I think I showed in my last video that he does fit in there, but it's definitely a tight fit. And I heard that the scale of this, while it does say that it's 1/12, I think it's definitely a little bit maybe larger than that. But I'm not an expert on figures. Like I said, I never claimed to be. But I think they did a really, really nice job on this. I think that the price is a little bit expensive for casual collectors. It does have an all-metal frame. I do kind of worry for the people that handle these quite a bit. This foam rubber stuff probably is going to start splitting eventually, especially if you move it a lot. I'll just throw it in the case once I get it set up, and I never usually touch it again unless I need to move it. If you're going to be using it quite a bit, then I would probably be careful with watching it to make sure that this doesn't crack at all in here. Another thing that's kind of cool, that, you know, these are the 2 capes that we had that came with it, but back when my dad made the first Batmobile, he had traced the pattern for it and then made a secondary cape, which is like to the same size. And this is a little bit less bulky, and it's obviously not the same material. It's kind of like a soft cotton, but if I wanted to, I could just leave that on there for display. Or, you know, if you had it in the car or the Batwing, it's not going to be as cumbersome or as hard to maneuver as this other type of leathery pleather stuff that they have on there. All in all, great figure. Don't really have any complaints. If you're a fan, it's got a million accessories. You could probably recreate any scene from the movie that you wanted to. I think the stand is freaking cool. I like when the figures come with stands like this. The real Ghostbusters had just clear ones, but I think it's really neat that it has like a custom base like that. So I might actually put this with my Ghostbuster figure down there. And I think that about wraps it up. Almost to 1,000 followers. I just wanted to say thank you to all those people that watch my reviews and my videos. I appreciate your time. It's been a long road, but I'm so damn close, and I can't wait to get there. So thank you for checking out my videos, and I will catch you guys next time.